The ceiling of room 7 had 43 water stains. Noah knew because he had counted them. Twice. He had been in that hospital for 11 days. 11 days of the same white ceiling, the same beeping machines, the same nurses asking how he was feeling. He always said he was fine. He wasn't fine. The results weren't ready. The doctor said maybe 2 more days. That was 4 days ago. So Noah waited. And the ceiling stayed the same. He was 31 years old. He had a job, a small apartment, a cat named Bus. His mother called every morning at 8. He let it ring twice before answering. He didn't want to worry her, but he didn't know what to say. "I'm okay, Mom." That was all he managed. He wasn't sleeping well. He wasn't eating much. He was just waiting. And waiting in a hospital feels different. Time moves differently there. On the morning of day 11, something changed. Not something big, just a sound. Wheels on the floor. Slow, steady steps. Noah turned his head toward the open door. A woman was walking down the corridor. She moved slowly, one hand on an IV pole. She wore a light blue hospital gown, dark hair pulled back. She didn't look at the walls. She didn't look at the floor. She looked straight ahead, like she was going somewhere that mattered. She passed his door without stopping, but right at the last moment she turned her head and nodded once. Not a smile, not a word. Just, "I see you." Noah didn't move. He just watched her disappear. And for the first time in 11 days, he sat up in bed. The next morning, Noah woke up before 6. He didn't know why. He just did. He lay still for a moment, listening. Then he heard it. The quiet sound of wheels on the floor. Slow, steady, getting closer. He turned toward the door. She was there again. Same gown, same IV pole, same straight walk. He sat up without thinking. She passed the door. This time she didn't turn her head, but Noah stayed sitting, and that was already different. On the third morning, he got up and stood in the doorway. He watched her walk to the end of the corridor and back. It took about 12 minutes. She never stopped, never asked for help, never looked tired, or at least she never showed it. A young nurse passed by and said quietly, "Good morning, Lena. Feeling okay today?" The woman nodded once and kept walking. Lena. Now he had a name. He hadn't asked for it. He had just listened. When she passed his door on the way back, she slowed down for exactly 1 second. She looked at him standing there in the doorway, hair messy, hospital gown, arms crossed like he was cold. She said nothing. She just kept walking. But she had seen him. Again. On the 5th morning, she stopped. Noah was in the doorway again. Same spot. Same arms crossed. Lena slowed down, then stopped completely in front of him. She looked at him for a moment, not with pity, not with curiosity, just steady, calm. "Are you going to keep watching or are you coming?" Her voice was quiet, a little hoarse, like someone who hadn't talked much that day either. Noah blinked. He hadn't expected words. He hadn't prepared anything. He started. She was already walking. He looked back at his room, the white ceiling, the beeping machine, the untouched breakfast on the tray. Then he stepped into the corridor. His feet were cold on the floor. He didn't have socks, but he walked. They walked in silence for the first 2 minutes. Noah didn't know what to do with his hands. He didn't have a pole to hold. He just walked, arms at his sides, trying to match her pace. Lena moved slowly but with purpose. She breathed carefully, in through the nose, out through the mouth, like she had learned to do it that way. The corridor was long and quiet. A nurse passed them without saying anything. A door opened somewhere and closed again. Noah looked at the walls, at the floor, at anything that wasn't her. Then Lena spoke. "How long have you been here?" Her voice was calm, no drama, like she was asking about the weather. 11 days, almost 12. She nodded slowly. "I've been here for 23. Noah looked at her. He hadn't expected that. 23 days? 23 days. No bitterness, just a fact. He didn't know what to say, so he said nothing, and somehow that felt right. At the end of the corridor, Lena stopped and turned around slowly. Noah stopped beside her. Through the window at the end of the hall, the sky was just starting to get light. Orange at the edges, still dark in the middle. They both looked at it for a moment without saying anything. Then Lena asked, "What are you waiting for?" It was a simple question. 4 words. But Noah felt it land somewhere deep in his chest. "Results, some tests. The doctor said it could be something serious, or it could be nothing. They don't know yet. And while you wait," he looked at the window. "I just wait." Lena was quiet for a moment. "I used to do that too. And now?" She started walking again. "Now I walk." Noah looked at the orange sky one more time. Then he followed her. On the way back, Noah asked, "Does it help? The walking?" Lena thought about it for a second. A real second, like she was actually considering the answer. "It doesn't fix anything." She kept walking. "But it reminds me that I can still move, that my legs still work, that I'm still here." Noah was quiet. "Some mornings, that's enough." They reached his door. Noah stopped. Lena kept walking. 2 more steps, then she stopped too and looked back at him. "Same time tomorrow?" He looked at his room. The white ceiling was waiting for him. "Yeah, same time." She nodded once, that same nod from the first morning, and continued toward room 212. Noah watched her go. Then he walked back to his bed and lay down. But this time he didn't look at the ceiling. He looked at the window. The walks became routine. Every morning at 6, Noah was already at his door. Sometimes he got there early and just waited, arms crossed, feet cold on the floor. He still didn't have socks. He kept forgetting to ask his mother to bring some. Or maybe he didn't want to explain why he needed them. Lena always arrived at the same time, not a minute early, not a minute late. She walked through the corridor like she had an agreement with the morning itself. They didn't talk much in the beginning, just walked. But the silence between them changed. It became something comfortable, something that didn't need to be filled. On the 4th morning, Noah finally asked what he had been wanting to ask since the beginning. "What are you here for?" Lena kept walking. She didn't look at him right away. She took a breath. "My heart." He waited for more. She didn't add anything. "Is it serious?" She glanced at him. It was. Now we're just negotiating. He didn't ask what that meant. Something in her voice told him that was all she wanted to say, and he respected that. 2 days later, it was Noah who talked first. They were at the window at the end of the corridor. Their window, as he had started thinking of it, watching the sky turn from gray to pale yellow. "I haven't told my mother how scared I am." It came out without warning, like something that had been waiting too long behind a door. Lena didn't react with surprise. She just listened. "She calls every morning, and every morning I say I'm okay." He paused. "I don't know why I keep saying that." Lena looked at the sky. "Because saying it out loud makes it more real, and you're not ready for it to be real yet." Noah looked at her. "How do you know that?" She gave a small, tired smile. "Because I did the same thing for weeks. And then one night I just broke down, alone, in this room. at 2 in the morning. She looked at the window. It wasn't pretty, but after that I slept for the first time in days. Noah was quiet. Outside, a bird crossed the pale yellow sky. I'm scared. Just like that. 3 words out loud for the first time. Lena nodded once. I know, me too. On the 8th morning, Lena said something that stayed with Noah for the rest of the day. They were walking back toward his room when she slowed down and said, almost to herself, "The worst part isn't being sick." Noah looked at her. "The worst part is realizing how long I was already not living before all this." She gestured at the corridor, the walls, the hospital around them. "I was so busy being careful, saving things for later, waiting for the right moment." She stopped walking. "And then you end up here, and you realize there's no later. There's just now." Noah didn't say anything. He didn't need to, because somewhere inside, he recognized every single word. He had been doing the same thing, not living, just waiting for the results, waiting for the right moment, waiting for something that would tell him it was okay to finally start. He looked at the corridor, the long, quiet, ordinary corridor of a hospital, and for the first time, he didn't see a place where people waited to leave. He saw a place where people learned to stay. On the 9th morning, Noah was at his door at 5:55. He waited. 6 o'clock came. Nothing. 6:10. Nothing. He told himself it was fine. Maybe she was tired. Maybe the nurses had something to do with her early. Maybe she just needed a morning off. He waited until 6:20. Then he walked the corridor alone. It felt wrong. He walked to the window at the end of the hall. The sky was gray that morning. No orange, no yellow. Just flat, heavy gray. He stood there for a few minutes, looking at nothing in particular. Then he walked back. He passed room 212. The door was almost closed. He didn't stop, but he slowed down just enough to hear silence. Just the sound of a machine. Steady. Quiet. He went back to his room and lay down. He looked at the ceiling. 43 water stains. Still there. Still the same. But this time the ceiling felt different. This time he noticed that he wasn't thinking about his results. He was thinking about her. His mother called at 8. "How are you feeling today, Noah?" "I'm okay, Mom." There was a pause on the line. His mother always paused like that, like she was deciding whether to believe him or not. "You sound different." "I'm just tired." Another pause. "Are you eating?" "Yes." "Are you sleeping?" "A little." She sighed softly. He could picture her in the kitchen standing by the window with her coffee, trying not to cry. "I could come today. I can ask someone to cover my shift." "No, Mom. It's okay. Really. Noah, I'll call you if anything changes, I promise." After he hung up, he stared at the phone for a long time. "I'll call you if anything changes." He hadn't called once in 11 days. He put the phone face down on the bed and closed his eyes. "Oh, God," he whispered. "Please, just let it be okay. For both of us." He didn't know exactly who he meant by both of us, but he knew. At 2:30 in the afternoon, a nurse knocked on his door. It was the young nurse, the one who said good morning to Lena every day. "Are you Noah?" "Yes." She handed him a small folded piece of paper. "Someone asked me to give you this." He opened it. There were only 5 words, written in small, careful handwriting. "Room 212. Now, please come." Noah sat up immediately. He didn't put on shoes. He didn't check his hair. He didn't think about what to say. He just walked. The door to room 212 was half open. Noah knocked softly. Once. "Come in." He pushed the door open and stepped inside. It was the first time he had seen her room. It was the same as his, same white walls, same machines, same window with the same gray sky. But there were small things that made it hers. A worn paperback book on the bedside table, a photograph taped to the wall, a woman and a little girl on a beach somewhere, a pair of yellow socks on the floor beside the bed. Lena was sitting on the edge of the mattress, not lying down, just sitting, hands folded in her lap, eyes on the window. She looked smaller than she did in the corridor. "You came." "Of course." He pulled the chair from the corner and sat down across from her. He didn't ask what happened. He just waited, because that was what she had done for him. Every morning at the window, looking at the sky. She had waited. After a long moment, Lena spoke. "The doctor came this morning, early, before 6. That was why she hadn't walked. The last results weren't good." She paused. "They want to try a different treatment, something stronger. It would be hard." Her voice didn't break, but her hands tightened in her lap. He said, "I need to prepare myself." Noah felt something heavy settle in his chest. He wanted to say the right thing, something useful, something that would help. But there was nothing. There was no right thing. So he said the only true thing he had. "I'm sorry, Lena." She nodded. Her eyes were still on the window. Her voice went quieter. "This morning, lying here alone, I kept thinking, I just want to walk. I just want to get up and walk down that corridor and look at the window and see the sky turn orange." She paused. "That's all I wanted." Noah looked at her hands. Then he looked at the photograph on the wall, the woman and the little girl on the beach. "Is that you?" Lena looked at the photo. "That's my daughter. She's 7. She's with my mother right now." Something shifted in Noah's chest. He hadn't known about a daughter. He hadn't known about any of that. "What's her name?" A small smile crossed Lena's face, the first real smile he had ever seen from her. "Clara." They were quiet for a while after that. The machine beside her bed beeped slowly. Somewhere down the corridor, a door opened and closed. Noah leaned forward. "Can I ask you something?" Lena looked at him. "Do you pray?" She looked at him for a moment. Then she nodded. "Sometimes, when I don't know what else to do." "Me too." Another silence, not uncomfortable, just full. He leaned forward, elbows on his knees. "Can we? Right now, together." Lena looked at him for a long moment. Her eyes were tired, but something in them softened. "Yes." They didn't close their eyes right away. They just sat there, two people in a hospital room with white walls and machines and a photograph of a little girl named Clara taped to the wall. Then quietly, Noah began. "God, we don't have the right words. We probably never will." He paused. "But she needs more time. She has a daughter, and she's one of the only people I've met in a long time who actually taught me something." His voice was low and unsteady. "So please, if you're listening, please." The room was silent. Lena wiped her eyes with the back of her hand. Just once. "Thank you." To Noah, or to God. Maybe to both. The next morning, Noah was at his door at 5:55. He waited. At 6 o'clock exactly, he heard it. Wheels on the floor, slow, steady steps. He exhaled. Lena appeared at the end of the corridor. Same gown, same IV pole, but this morning she was wearing the yellow socks. When she reached his door, she stopped. "You're wearing socks?" She looked down at her feet. "I am. Yellow. My daughter picked them." A small pause. She said yellow is the color of people who are going to be okay. Noah felt something loosen in his chest, something that had been tight for a long time. Ready? He stepped into the corridor. Ready? They were halfway down the corridor when a nurse appeared at Noah's door behind them. Mr. Noah? He stopped, turned around. The doctor's here. Your results are ready. The words landed like something heavy dropping in a quiet room. He stood still for a moment, not breathing, not thinking. Then he felt it, a hand, just 2 fingers, light on his arm, there and gone in 1 second. He looked at Lena. She looked at him the way she always did, steady, calm. I see you. Go. He nodded. He walked back down the corridor toward his room, toward the doctor, toward whatever was waiting. He didn't look back, but he heard her, the slow sound of wheels on the floor continuing without him. She kept walking. The results were not perfect, but they were not the worst. The doctor used words like manageable and treatable and early enough. Noah sat on the edge of his bed and listened and nodded, and at some point realized he was crying, quietly, without drama, just tears running down without permission. Thank God, he whispered. Just that. The doctor left. The door closed slowly. Noah sat alone for a long time. He didn't lie down. He didn't reach for his phone. He just sat there, hands in his lap, letting the silence settle. Then he picked up his phone and called his mother. She answered on the first ring. Noah. He took a deep breath. Mom, I need to tell you how I really am. On the other end of the line, she went quiet, not with surprise, with relief, like she had been waiting for those words for 11 days. They talked for almost an hour. He told her everything, the fear, the sleepless nights, the days staring at the ceiling. She listened without interrupting. Sometimes he could hear her breathing deeply on the other end, holding back her own tears. When he hung up, the room felt different. Smaller, maybe, but more real. He got up, walked to the door, and looked down the corridor. It was almost empty. A nurse passing in the distance, a gurney being pushed somewhere, the constant quiet sound of a place that never really sleeps. Noah looked toward the end of the corridor, toward the window. The sky outside was turning orange again. He thought about everything Lena had said, about saving things for later, about waiting for the right moment, about ending up in a hospital and realizing that later never guaranteed anything. He thought about her daughter, about Clara, about 7 years old waiting for her mother to come home. Then he stepped away from the door, went back inside the room, opened the bedside drawer, and took out the pair of socks his mother had left on her last visit. He had never put them on. He didn't know why. He put on the socks, both of them. Then he walked to the door of room 212 and knocked softly. Come in. He opened the door. She was sitting on the edge of the bed, just like the afternoon before, but her face was different, less heavy, like someone who had cried a lot and then drank water and breathed. She looked at his feet, a small smile, the second real smile he had ever seen from her. Finally, he looked down at his own feet. Then he looked at her. Tomorrow at 6? Lena nodded once, that same nod as always, steady, calm. I see you. Tomorrow at 6. Noah walked back to room 7. He lay down on the bed. He looked at the ceiling, 43 water stains, still there. But this time he closed his eyes before he started counting.